Peppa Pig and the Umbrella of Sharing. It's raining today. Peppa opens her pink umbrella and steps outside. George runs after her without one. George shivers as the rain falls. Peppa smiles and tilts her umbrella toward him. Suddenly, the umbrella wiggles and says softly, "Sharing is the best thing, Peppa." Both giggle in surprise. Peppa and George hold hands, walking under the same umbrella as raindrops play a cheerful tune. When the rain stops, they rest under the porch, giggling together. Their laughter is bright as the sunshine after the rain. Peppa and George were playing in the park when suddenly some balloons started floating in the air. Both of them decided to chase after the flying balloons, but they kept floating higher and higher. George jumped as high as he could to catch one, but sadly, he still couldn't reach it. Peppa found a chair to climb on, stretching her hands out, but the balloon floated even further away. Finally, one balloon gently floated down near Peppa and George, and they were thrilled to catch it. Peppa and George realized that sometimes the simplest joys bring the happiest moments.
Peppa Pig and her friend. Today, a friend of Peppa's from afar is returning from overseas, so Peppa is really looking forward to seeing her. Peppa ran outside, looking around and waiting for her friend, but she didn't show up. Daddy Pig said that her friend wouldn't be back until the plane arrived, and just then the plane flew over Peppa's house. Peppa was so excited, she ran into the house, waiting for her friend to come and play. At the airport, Peppa's friend's plane had landed. The father and son drove to Peppa's house. They are the Fox family. When the fox and his father arrived, Peppa ran out to greet her friend who had come from afar. The fox was also very happy to see Peppa, and both fathers were happy too.
Peppa was surprised to see a strange hat on the grass. Whoa! George ran over and touched it, lights twinkling from the hat. Whoa! Peppa put the hat on. Bubbles of light floated across the garden. Magical indeed. George tried the hat too, bubbles swirling around them, making them laugh out loud. The bubbles rose and settled on the tree branches, sparkling in the sunlight. They took off the hat, bubbles faded, but the magical joy lingered in the garden.
Peppa Pig and banana toys. On a beautiful sunny day with clear blue skies, Peppa and George were sitting together in their little kitchen eating bananas. The two sisters were having fun together when suddenly Peppa had the idea to go see some interesting things made of bananas. Peppa and George agreed, and together they ran out of the kitchen to go to see. The two sisters ran to the door and looked around for those items. After a while, they spotted it, and the two sisters ran over to see. The first thing the two sisters saw was a giant banana. Peppa pushed the banana, making it wobble back and forth. The two sisters then went to the next place, a house made of banana trees.
Peppa Pig and the Talking Rainbow. After the rain, a rainbow appeared, smiling at Peppa.
Aha!
The rainbow greeted Peppa warmly. Peppa jumped in surprise, while George laughed joyfully. Each color has a feeling. Red for joy, blue for calm. Peppa and George danced beneath it, surrounded by sparkles. As the rainbow faded, Peppa still heard laughter in the wind. Maybe the rainbow was still watching.
Peppa Pig and Peppa's birthday. Today was a beautiful sunny day and also a special day for Peppa. She woke up very early and then left her room. She looks very happy and full of energy today. Meanwhile, in the small kitchen, Mummy Pig had finished making a birthday cake for Peppa. The cake and fruit were all ready for her birthday. Peppa happily skipped into the kitchen and saw a beautiful cake on the table. She ran over to look at it and wanted to eat it right away. And just then, Mummy Pig brought a crown and princess wings for Peppa to dress up for this special day. After dressing up, Peppa became an adorable little princess. She walked over and blew out the candles on the cake. And then the whole family happily celebrated Peppa's birthday.
Peppa Pig and the Forest Walking Adventure. Peppa and George walked along the forest trail, Daddy and Mummy Pig following, with trees green on both sides. Peppa spotted a yellow butterfly flying. George pointed excitedly. Daddy Pig slid lightly on a wet branch. Peppa and George giggled. Mummy Pig picked some wild strawberries and gave them to Peppa and George, both laughing happily. The family stood on a hilltop, looking at the green forest, holding hands and laughing happily.
Peppa Pig and her friends go to school. It was an ordinary day. The school bell rang, its sound echoing everywhere. At Peppa's house, Peppa and George were getting ready for school and climbing into Daddy Pig's car that was waiting for them. Daddy Pig drives the car with the two children and sets off for school. All three arrived just in time for class. Peppa and George got out of the car, said goodbye to their dad, and ran into their classroom. Looking into the classroom from the window, you could see George and Peppa, along with her other friends, sitting attentively listening to the teacher's lecture. The students sat quietly and focused during class. As the study time gradually passed, it was time to go home. At the end of a long school day, the students said goodbye to each other, and then everyone went home after a tiring day of studying. Peppa Pig and the Autumn Leaves. As spring passed and autumn arrived, Peppa and George went out to play Chase today and were surprised to see so many leaves scattered on the field. The two sisters were extremely surprised by the leaves because they appeared in so many different shapes and were all very beautiful. Peppa and George went together to pick their favourite leaves to play with. George waved them back and forth while Peppa had the idea of tossing them up into the air. Seeing this, George also tossed the leaf into the air. The two leaves flew back and forth across the sky before slowly falling to the ground. Wow! The two sisters were very happy watching the leaves fall from the sky because autumn has such beautiful leaves.
Peppa and George couldn't believe their eyes.
Wow.
A giant truck was parked right in their yard. This truck is not only big but full of strange things inside. Peppa is curious and wants to try them all. George tried to push the giant wheel, but he might need a bit more strength to move it. No worries. Peppa decides to drive the giant truck, but it seems it's not as easy as she thought. Sometimes all it takes is a little push on the gas pedal to start an adventure, even if it's a bit out of control. Finally, the truck stops, and Peppa and George realize one thing. Sometimes the fun starts with the most random things.
Peppa Pig and her grandparents go to the beach. Today was a pleasantly sunny day, and Grandpa Pig and Grandma Pig came to Peppa's house to play with the two kids. Grandma Pig knocked on Peppa's door to call the two sisters. The two sisters ran out, and together they rushed into their grandparents' cage to cuddle. Then Peppa and George, along with Grandpa Pig and Grandma Pig, went for a walk to the beach. Everyone walked together along the cool blue beach and soft sandy shores. After strolling along the beach, the two sisters went diving into the sea to play. George put on his snorkel and watched the water flowing around him. Peppa swam to the coral reefs, admiring the bubbles that weaved through the coral. The two sisters swam back and forth in the water, laughing happily together. Peppa and the Banana Slide. After a long night, dawn broke. The sun was high in the sky, and Peppa was asleep when she heard a noise. The little girl sat up and looked to see what the noise was. Downstairs, Daddy Pig was building a slide for the two sisters. Whoa! Seeing this, Peppa woke George up so they could go down and see Daddy Pig together. The two sisters got out of bed and ran quickly out into the yard. The two sisters went out and saw Daddy Pig sweating profusely while building the slide. Daddy Pig saw the two sisters and called them over to see the results of his work.
Ho-ho!
Whoa! Peppa and George were very excited to have new toys. George was the first to slide down the banana-shaped slide. Then Peppa slid down. The two sisters landed beautifully, and everything was filled with joy. Yoo-hoo! George slid down the slide again, feeling very happy because Daddy Pig had made him a new toy.
Peppa and George were sitting in the yard when they looked up at the sky and saw a cloud shaped like a bear. Peppa pointed at the sky and said, "Look, this cloud looks like a bear sleeping." George mimicked the bear, lying down and pretending to sleep on the grass, making Peppa laugh loudly. Mummy Pig walked over and saw them, saying, "You both are so cute, just like real bears." Peppa and George stood up and began imitating bears, walking slowly around the yard, laughing happily. Finally, the whole family sat together in the yard, looking at the bear-shaped cloud and enjoying the simple joy of the moment.
Daddy Pig transformed into a giant chicken. Today is a pleasantly sunny day, and Daddy Pig is taking a walk and exercising in the yard. Sweat was pouring down. He continued his journey to other places, eventually arriving at a small village. Daddy Pig saw a pear tree with lots of pears on it. But strangely, there was only one ripe fruit on the tree. Daddy Pig thought it was delicious and ate it. It tasted delicious, but suddenly something strange happened, and boom! Daddy Pig suddenly turned into a giant chicken. Daddy Pig, in a strange mood, went home, and Peppa and George, who were out looking for him, happened to run into him. He sat down and looked at Peppa and George. Peppa came closer and poked him, when suddenly, Daddy Pig's stomach farted. Everything was as confusing as when Daddy Pig ate the pear, and then Peppa and George were surprised that Daddy Pig had returned to his original form. It was all so confusing.
Peppa and George were walking when they discovered a mysterious vegetable garden with tall, colorful plants. George curiously touched a giant carrot, while Peppa picked up a pumpkin almost as big as her head.
Wow!
Mummy Pig entered the garden, smiling and said, "Look, kids, these vegetables are really special." Peppa and George played hopping through the tall plants, laughing joyfully across the garden. Daddy Pig appeared with a small cart so the whole family could harvest the vegetables together. Finally, the whole family stood in the garden, admiring the colorful pumpkins, carrots, and greens, happily taking a family photo. Peppa Pig and the Night Garden. Peppa was fast asleep, moonlight shining softly through the window. In her dream, Peppa stepped into a glowing garden filled with flowers that lit up the night. George appeared in the garden, and together they laughed and played among the shining flowers. A glowing butterfly flew around Peppa, guiding them deeper into the magical garden. George woke up in the night, hearing Peppa giggle in her dream. He yawned, smiled, and pulled the blanket over himself to sleep again.
Peppa Pig and the Goats. Today, Peppa's whole family will go to visit the goat farm. Daddy Pig and Mommy Pig are waiting for Peppa and George. The two sisters quickly got into the car and set off with their family to the goat farm. Daddy Pig made sure everyone was seated. Then he started driving. Woo-hoo-hoo! The path to the farm had windmills on the other animals' houses, which Peppa and George found very interesting. Whoa! After a while, Peppa's family arrived at the farm gate, and they all went inside to see the animals. Whoa! There were some very beautiful goats in the pen. Some were walking back and forth, while others stood still with their heads held high. Peppa's family went to the goat shed and looked at the goats. Peppa and George went closer to see what they were doing in there. The two sisters were afraid of making any noise and startling the goat, so they covered their mouths. Suddenly, a little goat came from outside and lifted its head towards George. Seeing this, George reached out and petted the little goat, and the whole family had a wonderful outing. Peppa Pig and the snow season. As autumn passed, the first days of winter arrived, and snow began to fall on the ground. In their small room, Peppa and George woke up and were very excited to see the first snowfall of the season. The two sisters jumped up, clapped their hands, then got out of bed and ran out to play in the snow. Outside, snow covered everything, from the roof to the yard. Peppa and George gazed at it and began their snowman making project. Peppa and George each started making large snowballs to make the snowman's body. Peppa and George's snowman is almost complete. It has arms, a scarf, eyes, a nose, and a cute little mouth. After a while, the two sisters finished making the snowman, and they both felt very happy about this winter.
Peppa Pig and the Dance Day Adventure. Peppa and George stood in the living room. Daddy and Mummy Pig prepared music.
Wow!
Peppa bounced to the music. George spun around happily, both smiling brightly. Daddy Pig tried to dance along, stumbled a bit. Peppa and George giggled. Mummy Pig helped Daddy Pig keep the rhythm. Peppa and George danced around, clapping to the music. Peppa and George danced continuously, spinning and raising their hands. The whole family laughed joyfully. The family sat together on the couch, relaxing after dancing, laughing, and resting happily.
Peppa Pig and the Giant Candy Cane. As usual, Peppa went out for a walk around the neighbourhood every morning. The little girl skipped happily out of the house for a walk. She went to a busy street, carefully walking on the pedestrian walkway. Peppa went to a little hill and saw a fox. And next to it was an ice cream truck with lots of ice cream and candy. What caught the little girl's attention was the giant candy on the cart, and she went over to buy it. Peppa got the giant lollipop, and she was so excited that she ran back to show George. Peppa brought the lollipop home, and George was waiting for her. George was also very happy to see how big the lollipop was.
Peppa Pig and the Fishing Day Adventure. Peppa and George brought fishing rods to the lake, Daddy and Mummy Pig following, the lake sparkling in the sun. Peppa cast her line into the water. George watched the surface, eagerly waiting. Daddy Pig accidentally dropped his fishing rod into the lake. Peppa and George giggled. Peppa caught a flower floating on the water. George cheered, and the whole family laughed with delight. The family packed up. Peppa and George waved goodbye to the lake, promising to come back next time.
Peppa Pig and the snow season. As autumn passed, the first days of winter arrived and snow began to fall on the ground. In their small room, Peppa and George woke up and were very excited to see the first snowfall of the season. The two sisters jumped up, clapped their hands, then got out of bed and ran out to play in the snow. Outside, snow covered everything from the roof to the yard. Peppa and George gazed at it and began their snowman making project. Peppa and George each started making large snowballs to make the snowman's body. Peppa and George's snowman is almost complete. It has arms, a scarf, eyes, a nose, and a cute little mouth. After a while, the two sisters finished making the snowman, and they both felt very happy about this winter.
Peppa and George ran outside to play as the rain started. They jumped into puddles, splashing water everywhere. Mummy Pig brought raincoats and reminded them, "Be careful, don't slip." Daddy Pig appeared with a big umbrella, sheltering Peppa and George from the rain. Peppa found a giant puddle, carefully jumped in, and laughed with joy. Finally, the whole family stood under the umbrella, watching Peppa and George dance in the rain, laughing together.
Peppa Pig and the Strange Clouds. On a beautiful, sunny day, the high hills were covered with layers of mist at their base. Meanwhile, at home, Peppa and George were gazing at the clouds in the sky. Being bored at home, the two sisters went outside to look at the sky and the clouds. and the two sisters went to that hill. Peppa stood watching the gentle clouds drifting overhead, thoroughly enjoying herself. George watched the cloud drift towards him until he fell to the ground and burst into hearty laughter. Clouds shaped like animals drifted across the sky, marking a peaceful and joyful day for the two sisters. Peppa's Witch Dream. It was getting dark and everything gradually became quiet in the night. And in the small room, Peppa and George were sleeping after their nap. Peppa seems to be dreaming about something that's making her giggle. Let's see what Peppa is dreaming about. In her dream, the little girl dreamt she entered a vast space where there was nothing around her. Suddenly, a hat fell from nowhere onto Peppa's head. It was a witch's hat, followed by a magic wand, and then another hand, a flying broomstick. And the little girl used her magic wand to transform into an adorable little witch. Peppa sits on her flying broom and begins soaring through the air on her magical broom. The little girl flew around excitedly, then landed with the magic pot that the witch had created. Peppa had a very dramatic dream about being a witch. Peppa Pig is sick. The weather has been unpredictable lately, with alternating sunshine and rain. In the living room, Peppa is sitting on the couch, and George is playing with his toys. Suddenly, George looked up and noticed something strange about his sister. So he went over to take a look. It turns out Peppa was feeling unwell because she had a cold due to the changing weather. Mummy Pig went over to check Peppa's temperature, and then Mummy and Peppa decided to go to the doctor. Mummy Pig and Peppa went to the hospital for a checkup. They went to the hospital. The doctor was inside, waiting for patients. So Peppa and her mother went in together. Peppa isn't afraid of doctors, so she was very comfortable letting them check her temperature and body. After the examination, the doctor gave Peppa a fever-reducing patch because Peppa's symptoms were mild. Please see a doctor if you are experiencing any health problems.
Peppa and George were playing in the garden when they spotted a giant toy car rolling toward them. George quickly climbed into the toy car, took the wheel, and laughed happily as the car started rolling. Peppa tried to chase the car, but it was too fast, making her run after it. Mummy Pig saw them and reminded, "Be careful! Don't let the car roll too far!" Peppa and George took turns driving the toy car, going over small tree stumps in the garden. Finally, the toy car stopped, and Peppa and George got out, laughing joyfully from their fun adventure. Peppa and George were walking near a sparkling crystal clear lake.
Whoa!
Peppa set a paper boat out on the water, and George watched it float gently. Daddy Pig brought a small paddleboard, suggesting they could have a boat race. Peppa and George paddled lightly, laughing as their boat glided across the lake. Mommy Pig stood by the lake, taking pictures and reminding them, "Don't go too far." Finally, the whole family stood by the lake, admiring the sparkling water and enjoying a peaceful moment.
Transform into a police officer. On a pleasantly sunny day, Peppa and George were sitting watching TV in the living room. Whoa! George and Peppa were watching something that the two sisters found so exciting that they exclaimed, "Wow! Those are police cars on patrol duty!" The two sisters were very happy and entertained while watching the police program. Peppa thought about what she would look like in a police uniform. Then she giggled. George found Peppa's smile strange. So Peppa suggested they dress up as police officers. George nodded and the two siblings quickly went to get dressed up. After rummaging through everything and changing into their costumes, the two sisters finally put on their favourite police uniforms. The two sisters were thrilled with the police uniforms. Peppa and George also dreamed of becoming police officers. Peppa Pig and the Dairy Cow. Peppa's home ground is now covered in a lot of grass, growing in rows and thick clumps, one after another. Peppa is playing with her toy train, while George is assembling the back of the robot. Suddenly, something whizzed past the window, causing the two sisters to stop playing their game. The two sisters looked up and the thing whizzed past once more. Wow! Peppa and George decided to jump onto the chair to see what it was. And to their surprise, it was a dairy cow. The two sisters were about to reach out and pet the cow, but it ran away. So they ran out into the yard to check on it. When Peppa and George went outside to look around, they saw the cow standing and eating grass in front of the house. The cow was grazing by the roadside near Peppa's house, and Peppa and George went closer to watch it eat. Peppa and George were sitting watching when the cow approached them and brought its head close to George. George also reached out and petted the cow. The two sisters really liked the cow.
Peppa Pig and the Rainy Day Adventure. Peppa and George put on raincoats, ready to explore the rainy day with their parents. Peppa jumped into a puddle. George followed. Daddy Pig joined in happily. Mummy Pig held an umbrella, guiding Peppa and George, raindrops sparkling on the leaves. Peppa spotted a frog hopping in a puddle. George cheered. Peppa clapped her hands. The family jumped into bigger puddles, laughing, water splashing everywhere. The family went home, wet but happy. Daddy Pig promised to make delicious hot chocolate. Peppa and George packed the picnic basket with Mummy Pig, bringing bread, fruit, and drinks. The family walked into the colorful flower garden with bees and butterflies flying around.
Hey!
Peppa picked a red rose. George picked a sunflower, both laughing happily. Daddy Pig lifted Peppa to reach a tall flower. Peppa raised her hand excitedly. George curiously watched a snail crawling on a leaf. The family sat on the picnic blanket, eating bread, drinking water, and enjoying the beautiful garden view.
Peppa Pig and her shadow. In their small room, Peppa and George were sitting reading books and eating candy. George was watching dinosaurs and eating chips, and after finishing the last piece, he realized he had run out of chips. When I looked over at Peppa, she was reading a book and had only one candy left in her hand. She looked around for more, but there was none left. Peppa and George went outside to play, and the two sisters happily went out together. Upon reaching the door, the two sisters felt relieved and started jumping around. Then they ran off to play. When the two sisters reached the middle of the yard, something strange happened. Peppa's shadow was following them and mimicking Peppa's movements. While Peppa and George were laughing happily, the shadow suddenly ran away and Peppa and George chased after it. The two sisters ran over and, seeing the smiling figure, they also laughed happily.
Peppa Pig and the storytelling chair. It's raining outside. Peppa looks at Daddy Pig's old chair and asks, "Can the chair talk, Daddy?"
Aha!
Daddy Pig smiles. Of course! It has heard thousands of stories. George curiously touches the armrest. Suddenly, the chair shakes gently and begins, "Once upon a time." Peppa and George stare in amazement.
Yahoo!
In their imagination, Peppa and George go on adventures, riding dinosaurs, flying over rainbows. They wake up on the same chair, smiling. Daddy Pig chuckles. Told you it can tell stories. Everyone laughs happily.
Peppa Pig and the Mud Rainbow. One night, it rained very heavily. Then the rain stopped, the sun rose, and Peppa and George woke up. The two sisters jumped out of bed and ran out to the playground. When they went outside, the two sisters were surprised to see many large puddles of mud after the rain. The two sisters ran to the mud puddle to play, jumping up and down and rolling around in the mud together. Yow! Then Peppa saw a puddle of mud with a rainbow on it. She went to take a look out of curiosity and loved it. Peppa ran back and jumped in the colorful mud. And then, unexpectedly, Peppa began to grow bigger and bigger, eventually becoming a giant. George approached Peppa, looking at her with a mixture of curiosity and fear because she was so big. After a while, Peppa returned to normal, and everyone happily talked about the fun things that happened after the rain.
Peppa and George stood on the grass, seeing a big banner. Funny dance contest. George did a flip in the air, making Peppa laugh happily. Peppa tried dancing to the music, but slipped on a leaf, both of them laughing uncontrollably. Daddy and Mummy Pig stood beside them, clapping and cheering them on. Finally, Peppa and George received their medals, and the whole family hugged and laughed together. Peppa and George were amazed when a giant ball rolled toward them. The ball was too big, but Peppa didn't give up and decided to push it. The rolling ball created funny circles, making Peppa laugh non-stop. George joined in, helping Peppa to control the giant ball together. When the ball hit a puddle, huge splashes sprayed everywhere, making them laugh even more. Finally, they realized that sometimes the greatest fun is just a giant ball and your own laughter. Peppa Pig and the Dream of Flying to the Stars. Peppa was sleeping in bed, moonlight shining into the room, eyes closed. Peppa dreamed she was floating in the sky among the stars. George appeared in the dream, both flying past the sparkling stars. Wow! Peppa and George played among the constellations, spinning and holding hands. Peppa woke up, smiling, looking out the window at the moon and twinkling stars, dreaming of her next adventure.
Peppa Pig's treasure hunt. On a beautiful sunny day, George and Peppa ran and played together, from inside the house out into the yard. Suddenly, the two sisters saw strange arrow markings. Where did they lead? Whoa! At the same time, Daddy Pig came out with the treasure map and gave it to Peppa and George to help them find the treasure. The two sisters ran to look at the map in Daddy Pig's hand, took it, and then followed the arrows to find the treasure. The two sisters followed the arrows step by step. The two sisters excitedly ran towards the treasure. When the two sisters arrived at the place as shown on the map, Peppa and George looked around and discovered the hidden treasure. When George dug it up, he found a treasure chest full of gold coins. Whoa! Much to the delight of the two sisters. Peppa Pig and the Firefighters. On a beautiful sunny day, Peppa and George were happily strolling down the street. A little while later, the two sisters saw a fire truck driving down the road. Peppa and George were thrilled to see a fire truck for the first time. The two sisters ran home in a cheerful mood. When the two sisters got home and were about to tell Daddy Pig what had happened, he brought out a cardboard box. Daddy Pig started taking the secret items out of the box. They were firefighting suits. The two sisters were delighted and quickly went to the cardboard box, transforming themselves into little firefighters. Peppa and George admired the firefighter uniforms they were wearing and then jumped up and down excitedly. Peppa Pig baking with Mum. Today, Peppa's family is going to bake a wonderful cake. So Mummy Pig went to buy more flour because we ran out. Mummy Pig brought the flour inside, and in that little kitchen, the three of them baked bread together. Mummy Pig poured flour into a bowl on the table, while Peppa and George watched as their mother mixed the flour with water and eggs. Whoa! At the same time, Daddy Pig, with a hungry stomach, went into the kitchen. When he saw Mommy Pig making cakes, he was delighted. Then he talked to Peppa about how to make the cake, and the two of them chatted enthusiastically until Mommy Pig had finished baking the cake and put it on the table. Peppa and her mother put layers of pre-made cream on the cake, and Peppa said it looked delicious. Daddy Pig took the remaining cake out of the oven, while George played with his dinosaur. Whoa! The cake was finished, and the whole family enjoyed it.
Peppa and George brought the big building block set from the house to the yard, excited to start the game. Mommy Pig spread a large blanket on the grass, making it comfortable for Peppa and George to play with their Lego. Peppa started building a beautiful castle with the large blocks, while George carefully placed the smaller pieces around it. Daddy Pig joined in, trying to build a tall tower with the blocks, making the whole family laugh. Mummy Pig added special blocks to the castle, creating flags and flowers, and the whole family clapped and cheered. The family sat around the Lego castle, laughing happily and taking photos of their wonderful creation.
Peppa Pig and the strange footprints. Peppa and George are running and playing in the yard. Woo-hoo-hoo! The two sisters happily ran back and forth together. Suddenly, from a distance, George saw something very strange. So he ran to see what it was. Peppa also saw George suddenly run off, so she was curious and followed him to see what was going on. Whoa! Peppa ran over and immediately saw strange, evenly spaced footprints on the ground. Whoa! And George saw the same things, so the two sisters started following in those footsteps. After walking for a while, the footprints led towards a house. So the two sisters continued to follow the clue into the house. Those footprints led to a person, and that person was Daddy Pig. All three burst out laughing as they solved the strange footprint puzzle. Peppa Pig transforms into a police officer. Today is Daddy Pig's cleaning day. And in Peppa's dusty shed, there were golden dusts and cobwebs that had accumulated over time. Daddy Pig turned to grab a feather duster and began sweeping the shed. When he moved to a cardboard box on the floor, he found something unexpected. Those are police uniforms and hats. Daddy Pig shouted loudly from upstairs for Peppa and George to come down and see this exciting thing. Woo-hoo-hoo! The two sisters ran downstairs quickly and immediately changed into their police uniforms. Daddy Pig took a spare hat and followed Peppa and George to see how much the two kids liked the police outfit. Daddy Pig asked the police officer to pick up Peppa and George for a ride in the police car, and the two sisters were extremely excited. The police officer took Peppa for a ride down the bustling street, then took the two sisters to experience the police station, where they learned many interesting things. Peppa Pig on Halloween. In the living room, Peppa and George were playing chase, running back and forth, up and down the sofa. Woo-hoo! The two sisters were laughing happily together when Peppa looked up at the calendar and saw that today was Halloween. Oh! The little girl looked up at the sky and saw it was already noon. She then started thinking about what she could do to celebrate this special day. The little girl then told George to go down to the kitchen to play. And although he didn't understand what was happening, he followed her. The two sisters looked over and saw that Mummy Pig had just returned from the market with some big pumpkins. They tiptoed over and took the pumpkins. The two sisters brought the pumpkins out to the living room and began their plan. It was getting dark and unexpectedly, Peppa's front door was filled with strange pumpkins. Peppa performed a magic trick to make the pumpkins light up, adding to the fun of Halloween. Peppa Pig goes to the laboratory. Today, Peppa and her sister are going on a field trip to the lab and they're waiting for Daddy Pig to pick them up. A little while later, Daddy Pig came out to the car and waved for Peppa and George to get in so they could start their journey. Daddy Pig, Peppa and George started walking to the laboratory, and after a while they arrived at the laboratory. The father and his two sons entered the laboratory together, taking in everything around them. Peppa and George went together to the exhibition of scientists' experimental equipment. The two sisters walked through many parts of the laboratory, being careful not to touch anything, as it would damage the equipment. After a visit, the two sisters were very happy because they had learnt many things in the laboratory.